All right, and welcome into the BettingPros College Football Show. I hope everyone had a great Christmas and a profitable last week of college football betting. We're back in the saddle today with our official picks and predictions for the college football playoff quarterfinal games going off on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We'll also give you our rapid-fire picks for the other 8 bowl games happening over the next week. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, locked and loaded for what should be a fantastic episode. And no, I'm not alone. I'm joined by our QB1 of this particular program, Scott Big Time Bogman. Boggs, how's it going, man? We are roughly 48 hours away from the Fiesta Bowl kicking off this second round of the CFB games.
Yeah, I can't count on the Steelers in December, right? We know that, Seth. So I am counting on the Longhorns in January here. So hoping to see another win, advance another round, and hopefully I got a lot of my props right last time. I did not get a lot of my picks right. So hopefully this week we're doing better, and I think it is going to be a better week.
Okay, let's keep it going here. I'm excited. If you're watching here on YouTube, you see Boggs. He's rocking some burnt orange. I'm also in my Penn State jersey here as well. So good times, high vibes over on the program. We're also mixing it up with a gentleman who I know had an excellent holiday and still probably in that holiday spirit after Rocco Becht and the Iowa State Cyclones pulled out a nail-biting Pop-Tarts Bowl victory.
In the game. No, hey, Seth, he was scared to come back in the game. He didn't even want to come back into the game.
Got to protect his future, brother.
That's going to be your quarterback soon, too.
Oh, man. Shout out. The Giants fell way too far. He's going to be long gone by the time the Giants are picking. But
we'll see.
Has this bowl season not been amazing?
It's been so good.
It's been fun.
I mean, the games have been so awesome.
You have overtimes left and right. I mean, I was on the wrong side of OU, but the ball is to go for it. And say, you know what, let's just go win it. We're not going to go play this game. We're going to go for it and try to go win it. Absolutely. Diego Pavia goes out with another win.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Rutgers. Just what a collapse. What a collapse by the Rutgers Scarlet Knights there, man. That was a money line play on fading Kansas State there. It's Toledo and Narduzzi, just yet another fumble. It's been so many good games.
Even that Syracuse game last Friday night.
Talk about that cover. Ooh.
Oh, well, so I got it at 16.5. I took a 16.5 early in the week. Actually, for our NFL BP show last week, I was filling in for you, Terrell. That was my parlay of the week, was that Syracuse 16.5 and the Giants Dolphins under, which both glorious plays that hit. Thank you very much over there. But so yeah, bowl season has been great. And guys, we're only on the doorstep of it, right? We have 8 more games that we're going to talk about with no playoff implications. And then we're also going to be breaking down what's going to be a great second round of the CFP. Thanks to everyone who watches and listens every single week. We greatly appreciate it. If you are here on YouTube, let us know your lock of the week in the comments below. And while you're here, please like this video if you enjoy this type of content and subscribe to the whole channel if you are new. Before we jump in, I also wanted to remind you about the BettingPros Discord. Looking to up your game in sports betting? Well, then join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with some expert handicappers who provide free picks for the NBA, the NFL, MLB, NHL, player props, live betting, and more, but now you can also participate in our weekly community picks. Cast your vote and see how your picks stack up against the experts like Boggs, like Terrell, and track your success. Gentlemen, let's get the action going where it will be started on New Year's Eve with the VRBO Fiesta Bowl kicking off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time from Glendale, Arizona, former home of Bogman. The 6-seeded Penn State Nittany Lions have moved to 11-point favorites against the 3-seed Boise State Broncos. State finished second in the Big Ten, 12-2 straight up, 7-7 ATS this season. Now called by Andel Kotelnicki, the Big Zamboni, this offense has been more explosive than ever, 24th in scoring, 23rd in total offense, but their 4th-ranked total defense has been overwhelming, led by a trio of NFL prospects up front. No news on starting right tackle Anthony Donka, defensive tackle Alonzo Ford, who have both been out since November. Boise State, meanwhile, they earned a first-round bye after winning the Mountain West Championship. They're 12-1 straight up, 7-6 ATS this season as well. Senior safety Alexander Tubner, we talked about last week, we weren't sure his status. He'll be up for the Broncos. bias aside, boys, I am going with the Penn State Nittany Lions to cover here. I'm laying it heavy as well. Boise State ranks dead last, 134th in the country in missed tackles. And what do you usually think happens when teams take a couple weeks off? Well, they're tackling. They come back. They're not tackling well. So I think they're going to struggle with that as well. So I'm laying it all here after the long layoff on Penn State to cover against Boise State. Terrell, what do you think?
Hey, Boggs. And Seth said he referred to them as state when he was doing his breakdown, and then came back and said, no bias aside, though. He just referred to them as state. He didn't even say where it was at. He just said state and was
just
like, yeah,
admit
no
your bias, Seth. We all know. It's fine.
Hey, Seth. Hey, Boggs. He said state. Hey, state looks good. I said, which state? Which state?
I always thought Penn State was just like, do you call anyone else state? Is there anyone else? Or is that just
funny? Like,
I mean, I'm from Virginia, so when I say state, I'm talking about Virginia State.
Okay. What about you, Boggs?
Arizona State, and in
Okay.
Arizona, and also, you sometimes just using initials, like I say ASU for Arizona
Sure.
State, and I was on a show with a guy from Arkansas. He's like, it's weird hearing you say ASU for Arizona State because Arkansas State is also ASU.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or U of A for Alabama, U of A for Arizona. Those type of things. So I think Alabama does U of A. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah I just it's okay to be biased.
Yeah.
You're biased. It's
So-
fine.
Okay, so
man.
Terrell,
First
removing
of
my
all-
bias, are you laying points here with Boise State, 134th in the country, in missed tackles against this Penn State defense?
First of all, I remember when this was the Tostitos Bowl.
Yes.
Bowl. I don't know what this VRBO thing is about, but
I think it's a hotel.
yeah,
It's a hosting. It's like your Airbnb.
The Airbnb,
Yeah,
it's like Airbnb.
the rival,
But
yeah.
I don't know what that's about. We got to go back to the chips, man. The chips. That's when this was legendary. I think you're forgetting about the Oregon game, and I could understand everything you're saying if I didn't see the Oregon game and see them
Sure.
get up for a really, really good Oregon team. And here's the things that Boise does well defensively. They stop the run, they guard the tight end. Now, is this going to be a really, really hard matchup to do both of those things, especially with Tyler Warren? Yes, 100%. I get that. But if they're able to slow him down on offense, if they're able to slow down his run game and make Alar beat him, I mean, I think that they're going to be able to find themselves in it. And then it's the time to prepare. I don't think that they were sitting there twiddling their thumbs the whole time. I think they knew that they saw that they were going to get this Penn State team next. Hey, all right, let's go ahead and start preparing. Let's start working. I think that this is a well-coached group, and they're going to come out here ready to play. This is Ashton Jeanty's time to show that, hey, I can do this against any defense. It doesn't matter. I did against Oregon earlier this year. I can do it against Penn State here. So I like the points. I think this is way too many points.
Boggs, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm on the other side, Terrell. I'm on Penn State all the way here, and
We are.
I don't think this game is going to be particularly close. Yeah, no bias. But look, the reason I think this is, the main reason that you brought up, Seth, is the tackling for Boise State has been abysmal this year, and it's just really hard to improve that, even with a couple extra weeks layoff here. I don't know if that is going to improve. So that is my fear for Boise State. I do believe and know that these teams play in a very similar fashion, right? You want to pound the rock, you want to control the clock, you want to get up on the other team, you want to put them in a position to throw the ball because these defensive lines are both awesome. Boise State, I think, is like third or fourth in sacks. They have over 50 sacks this season. They've been great at that, but they're playing against Mountain West competition most of the time. They're not playing against an offensive line like Penn State has. And also, I just think Penn State is going to push them around at the point of attack on maybe both sides of the ball, but at least on offense for sure. I think that is the bigger mismatch in this game is Penn State's offense versus the Boise State defense. I do think Ashton Jeanty is going to break the record in this game. I do think he's going to be able to run in this game a little bit. No disrespect to the Penn State defense at all, but if Penn State gets up quick, if they are able to score fast, if they put up 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, this is not going to be good for Boise State because now you're going to make Maddox Madsen beat you. And he's been great this year. He's kept himself clean, and they don't give up a lot of sacks and everything. But that is going to be tough to stop this Penn State front. No one has. Nobody has this season. And Penn State's offense has looked pretty good. They were a little shaky against SMU. They didn't even have time to get in rhythm because the defense was doing all the work. But they smacked Oregon around. So I like Penn State in this. My favorite bet here is Penn State team total over 33.5. That is my absolute favorite bet in this game. I think they will be able to put up points. I question whether Boise State will be able to put up points. But to Terrell's credit and to Boise State's credit, they have made everyone talk about their history in these bowl games. This is the G5 team that gets up. This is a big reason why we have an expanded playoff, is because a team like Boise State beat Oklahoma in 2007 when no one expected it to happen. When App State beat Michigan, right? Like there's huge, this is a huge game for G5 and their momentum. I just don't think Penn State is the one to run into here. So I'm going to take the Nittany Lions. I like the over. I lean towards the over, but I'll lay the points, and I like the team total over for Penn State the most in this game.
Let's give them something to talk about. That's what I kept thinking the whole time you're saying that, Boggs, because that's the mindset for Boise State here, right? And we'll see what happens.
The neutral site really isn't – that's no concern. No concern. I mean, Boise is neutral site king, like –
I mean, I don't care about the neutral site here because the weather wasn't going to affect either one of these teams.
Yeah,
they're both playing.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
No, but still, just the fact of being in a home atmosphere, regardless of if it was nice weather and an 80-degree day over there in State College, it's still a hard place to play. Like, it's still going to be a tough place to play. So I don't know. I think that I understand now. What's the lethal shooter? I understand it now. I understand it now a little bit more of, hey, that home court was really, or home field, really a lot in the first round.
Yeah.
I think that it comes back down to earth a little bit, and that's where we start to see these games look a lot more competitive.
Could be.
They could.
I'll tell you what, we got a lot of, I know a lot of Penn State fans from this area. They're old people a lot of times. They're probably tired of the winter up here already. They're ready to get down in Arizona. They traveled well out there to Indianapolis a couple weeks ago for the Big Ten Championship. I'm expecting the same here.
Also, just think about how we thought, maybe Indiana's going to be in this game. I know you didn't think Tennessee was going to be in that game, Terrell, but I thought maybe Tennessee was going to be in that game. None of that happened. I mean, the favorites smacked the underdogs in the first round.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting a lot of that in this as well. I think Boise State has a better shot than the other teams did. I just think Penn State is kind of a buzzsaw right now.
Yeah, let's continue to talk about this trend of big spreads, because it's going to continue on New Year's Day with the Chick-fil-A Bowl kicking off at 1 p.m. Eastern Time from Hotlanta. This spread has shrunk, but the 5th-seeded Texas Longhorns are still 12.5-point favorites against the 4th-seed Arizona State Sun Devils. Texas was runner-up in the SEC, 12-2 straight up, 8-6 ATS this season. The Longhorns do have the second-ranked scoring defense, third-ranked total defense in the nation. They also got some great news on the injury front. Wide receiver Isaiah Bond, he will be up after being inactive last week. Also, Quintravion Wiesner, the running back, he was cleared to return against Clemson. Looks like he'll be good to go here in this one. He could have came back. They needed him. They didn't think they did. Ran out Jaden Blue a lot there. And then right tackle Cameron Williams, center Jake Majors, also expected to play after exiting in the first round. Arizona State, meanwhile, they won the Big 12 in their first year in the conference, 11-2 straight up, and then 11-2 ATS, the best record in the nation against the spread. Cam Scadaboo, he has led this team to the 22nd rushing offense, but they are 71st in passing, 36 in total defense. Their leading wide receiver, Jordan Tyson, of course, will be out once again. Boggs, how do you think this shakes out with the Longhorns kind of continuing this discussion of can a big favorite cover here?
Yeah, look, I think that this is just a bad matchup for Arizona State in this game. And this is, I have bias, so I will completely admit it, but I've watched all of Texas games, right? And I just think that they stopped the run very, very well. And maybe it's an impossibility to stop Cam Scadaboo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like we said with Ashton Janty against Penn State, like they have a great run-stopping defense, and I still don't think you're going to be able to stop Ashton Jeanty. I don't know that Arizona State's offensive line is as good as Boise State's own line, and it is going to be tested against a very, very fast defense here. And I think the speed of Texas defense is probably the biggest difference in this game. I think it's a massive mismatch for Arizona State, but it might be worse on the other side of the ball, because I think the only way Arizona State hangs in this game is if Quinn Ewers makes mistakes and throws the ball to him. They've been great at taking the ball away. They have 15 interceptions this year. They're very high in cover grade, Arizona State is. So they have played very well. The issue is they don't put pressure on the quarterback at all. They are 132nd in pass rush grade in the country out of 134 teams. And if you give Ewers time, these wide receivers are better than a lot of other teams. They're going to get open. So I just don't think that matches up really well. And Texas has found something in this run game with Wisner, right? They're going to hand the ball off to him at least 20 times. The other guys are going to get 15 to 20 carries as well. They're going to run the ball down Arizona State's throat. So I just really don't like Arizona State in this game because it doesn't match up well. I think if they would match up against somebody else, maybe control the clock, frustrate them on defense, turn the ball over, that can happen. Texas can let you in this game by allowing passing, but Sam Leavitt's best target is down in Jordan Tyson here. Like, Guillory's been great as a replacement, but he's not Tyson. So they just don't have enough targets. It's a 1-2 punch on offense between Scadaboo and Guillory right now, and Sam Leavitt's going to have to do a lot of running. The whole game is on his shoulders. It's unfortunate that it comes down to that, but if Texas gets up, again, just like we said with Penn State, you're going to get away from this run game, which is the strength of your offense. So I just don't really feel like ASU matches up well, specifically on defense. So another team, I'll take the Texas team total. I believe it's 31.5. So let's go over on that. And I'm okay laying the points. It's a lot. 12.5 is a lot. And Texas really they let Clemson back in the last game, so I don't know how much I love that. I probably lean more towards the over, but the team total for Texas is my favorite again in this game.
Okay. I'm very much undecided where I'm going to go, if anywhere, in this game. My heart wants to say, hey, just bet the SEC school to stomp on the Big 12. I like to fade the Big 12 in these matchups regularly, but Terrell, Sam Leavitt, very much the X factor in this one, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think Sam Leavitt is the X factor here, and I also think it's that Arizona State defense. They're going to have to be the X factor as well. They've been really, really good over the course of the entire season, but especially as of late, their last 3 games, they're winning the turnover battle 6-1. And so Leavitt can't turn the ball over. You cannot give this Texas team extra opportunities, and you also have to get this defense to, hey, force Quinn Ewers into some bad throws. He makes those bad decisions. And I think that's what Kenny Dillingham is teaching his team and coaching his team up over this time is, hey, let's take advantage of the mistakes this guy is going to give us, because that's how we're going to put ourselves in the game. Because I think that the Texas offense is going to be able to score. I do like Boggs' team total over. But I just think that Cam Scadaboo is different when you sit here and you're saying, yeah, this Texas defense is so good and so fast and all that. But everybody looks like that, so they try to tackle this man. And then he realizes that I am a man, a God amongst men in this tackling division, and y'all are not just going to be able to pull me down. And that was it. And that was really the big part of the run game that really kind of messed Texas up in that Georgia game. It was that big run by Trevor Etienne. And so you can't let Scadaboo break off big runs like he's done all year. That's what's going to really kill them, is if he's able to break off big runs on them and they get those big chunk 20, 30-yard offensive plays from Cam Scadaboo. So I can't trust this Texas team laying this amount of points with a starting quarterback. We've seen this. We talked about it over the course of the year, and we've caught them in different spots. The 10-point win against A&M, I know that they were only laying 7 there, but they ended up only winning that 10-point game despite being dominant in that game.
They only put up 17 points. Yeah, that was the thing. Can't score in the red zone right now for Texas. And Aubrey missed a couple field goals against Georgia. So, yeah, I mean, it's not great, but I like the matchup here.
Yeah.
Terrell, are you sprinkling the money line too, or no?
Oh yeah, if one of y'all 2 teams lose and we come back on here and I didn't have a money line on either one, I'd be sick. So yeah, if one of y'all go down, I have to at least cash so we can have something good to talk about.
We're gonna be happy watching you lose your money.
Ladies and gentlemen, the heel of the program, Terrell Furman Jr. Thank you for that.
One of these big dogs I'm going down with the dogs.
I appreciate it. Someone's got to play that role, and you do it very well, Terrell. So thank you for that. Before we continue, I did want to remind everyone to please join our college football podcast group, sync your picks, or use the quick pick feature on the BettingPros sports betting app to get a chance to win some free prizes. Elevate your betting strategy and join the conversation today at bettingpros.com/college. Let's move to the Rose Bowl, which gets underway from Pasadena, California at 5 Eastern time on New Year's Day. Number 1 Oregon remains a 2.5-point dog against the 8-seed Ohio State Buckeyes. OSU finished 4th in the Big Ten, 11-2 straight up, 7-6 ATS. Chip Kelly's offense is 11th in scoring, 32nd in total yards as well. Their defense is also the top team in the country in scoring and total defense. Oregon won the Big Ten in their first year in the conference with a 13-0 straight up record. Also 7-6 ATS. Transfer quarterback Dylan Gabriel has this offense ranked 13th in scoring, 11th in total offense, and their defense is also ranked 9th in total defense. No new injuries to report from either side, but keep in mind, Oregon did beat the Buckeyes 32-31 in Eugene back in October. Terrell, how do you think this rematch plays out?
I told you, man. I didn't get a lot of things right in the first round. In fact, if we look at ATS, I only got one thing right. And when you see a dead man walking, you just stay away. That's somebody that has nothing to live for. Man, it reminds me of like when you're playing the game. I'm thinking of Kingdom Hearts in particular, but I'm sure it works for other games. And you're playing the final boss, and once you're at critical, you get him to critical health left, and he just goes crazy, absolutely nuts, and is flinging stuff around, doing all of that. Like, that is Ryan Day. He is at critical health right now. He's reeling off of the Michigan loss, and I told you, Bob. He's a dead man walking, and he has to win. He understands he has to win. You do not.
You call him a dead man until he wins the national championship.
And that's what he's got to do. He has to do it. And if he's the coach that everybody says he is, he's got to do it. I mean, I'm all over Ohio State in this box.
Wow.
Box, I'm all over Ohio State again. It's the same handicap. He can't lose. He can't lose. Like, he cannot lose. It can't be close. He can't have another situation where Dan Lanning can pull some freaking page 106 subsection C rule out the freaking rule book and win the game. Like, I don't know, man. I just think that this is Ryan Day, and he's got this offense clicking. He's using his star wide receivers, and I think that they're going to be the X factors in the game. And the fact of, I just don't think Oregon is going to be able to cover them this time around, and we're going to see a bunch of points, and they're going to play the turnover battle and special teams battle a lot better. So yeah, I'm taking Ohio State here. Of all the games, I feel most confident about backing Ohio State here, because again, this is a dead man walking, and I've seen people that have nothing to live for, and they are scary.
Wow. Drawn to Life. I don't know if you guys remember the game Drawn to Life. That was the final boss I could never beat. Like, I had to walk away for months. I would walk away 3 months, come back. It was like a Nintendo DS game. So, I would walk away, come back, still couldn't beat it. Eventually beat it, I think, one day. Boggs, any thoughts on this game in particular? And was there ever a final boss in a video game that you just could not beat?
I think most of them probably would frustrate me. I mean, I did beat all of them, but, I may have had to lower the difficulty on a couple of them there, just see what happens at the end of the game. But, yeah, look, this game, I'm glad Terrell is confident about it. This was a super tight game last time in Oregon, and it's a very close spread still, so this is not my favorite game of the week. But the way I see it is, here's why I don't like it, is because Ohio State's best game beats anybody in the country. It's just not. Yeah. If they play their best, they win against anybody. So that's the issue. But what has changed since that last matchup, right? What has changed? Nothing for Oregon, right? Probably a little bit healthier now, honestly, and they've proven that they can win shootouts. They did against Ohio State. They did against Penn State in the conference championship game. They've won their close games. Wisconsin gave them a scare, and they ended up winning that game.
Oh, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, I know. I lost money there, too. So, I think Oregon has proved their point. They're the only undefeated team left, and that's why they're the number 1 seed. With Ohio State, we have seen wild swings from this team, and a lot of the problems have stemmed from the offensive line missing 2 starters now, being out for the year. And but like Terrell said, in the last game, Ryan Day went, okay, I'm not trying to prove any points here. We're not going to beat Michigan in some certain way here. Mm-hmm. We're going to just play our game and go win. And they smashed Tennessee. So if that Ohio State shows up, nobody can beat them, even Oregon, who hasn't lost all year. I just don't know if we're going to get that. I think that I think that there's more outs to Oregon winning this game because they stopped the run very well against Ohio State, and that's where Ohio State has gotten into some issues, right, is not running the ball effectively. And if you look at the last game that they played, they had the one big run from Henderson, 53 yards, right? If you take that away, that one carry, which you can't, he did it, but the rest of the game, 31 carries for 90 yards. That's 2.9 yards per carry for Ohio State. And the offensive line has gotten worse since then. Mm-hmm. So, again, if Will Howard plays mistake-free football, great. Are we getting that? There's no way I can guarantee that at all. So in this game, I said it when we talked about it initially, and I'm sticking to it. Whoever gets the points, I'm taking. And right now, Oregon is getting the points. That's the side I'm going to lean on. I won't have a lot invested in this one, though.
Yeah, I agree. This is the hardest game to handicap, I think, on the entire slate. Terrell, any interest in going over the total of 55? That's something I've been considering. But it always feels like in these rematches, teams start to figure out each other a little bit. So do we see a lot of points in this one still?
Yeah, I think we could see some points. I'm not really more on the side because if this went the exact same way as the Tennessee game, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't. I think Oregon's due for a game like that. They've played a lot of mistakes, and Wisconsin wasn't able to take advantage during that game, and they ended up not being able to serve them an L. So, it took two punt return touchdowns for them to beat Boise. I'm pretty sure, that last one, Whittington. And so they were able to get a punt return touchdown there.
That was like a million years ago.
But that's what I'm saying. It's multiple times that they've been bailed out by this here, this there, that I think that freaking rabbit's foot that's sitting up the crack of their behind is going to come falling out. And it's going to happen when Ryan Day literally is coaching for a job. He has to perform in every single game. Every single game. You can't have any type of letdown now. And that's why, at this point, that's why I'm on Ohio State.
Yeah.
Bog said it. I think Ohio State could go win the national championship now because I just don't want to fade a wounded animal like that. And I do think Ryan Day is actually a good coach, but that Michigan loss really, really stings. And I think the only way he's going to recoup from that is winning the national championship.
My final advice on this game is if you want to bet someone outright, why not just go over to the futures market, bet them to win the championship? Because I think the champion could honestly come from the Rose Bowl. I think whoever wins this game will be favored. I'm just saying.
You forget your team is still in the tournament too, Seth? What are you doing?
Well, obviously they'll face Penn State in the championship, of course. But
okay.
But all right, let's go ahead. Let's move forward though. We have one more game to handicap for the college football playoffs.
He said, y'all ain't got no chance.
I know. It was the nicest way he's ever said it, but yeah.
I'm just giving some free advice. Sometimes you just got to go with the future market.
Hey, Bugs. He said you're not going to. Okay, let's go.
All right. Let's go ahead. We're going to round out the college football playoff quarterfinal picks with the All-State Sugar Bowl. It's kicking off on New Year's Day, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time from Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. The Irish were 12-1 straight up. They are also 10-2-1 ATS this season. Their only outright loss coming to NIU in week 2. They're 4th in scoring offense, but rank 100th in passing offense under dual threat quarterback Riley Leonard. Marcus Freeman's defense, they are the real story for the Irish, I believe, though, gentlemen. They're 8th in total defense, 4th in passing defense, and this is despite losing All-American cornerback Ben Morrison earlier this season. However, they will be without defensive tackle Riley Mills for the remainder of the playoffs. Georgia, they won the SEC, record of 11-2 straight up, 4-9 ATS this season, though. I've tried to bet Georgia a crap ton, has never worked. I don't know what to
Should
do.
have took him in the Texas game.
Oh yeah, how about it?
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Boz. He laid it up for me.
What the hell?
He did. Hey, Boz. He threw me an alley like it was a beautiful alley oop.
Strays here.
Boz, I'm sorry. He laid it right up for me there.
And,
He did.
and keep in mind too, they almost lost to Kentucky. If maybe they had a little more guts to go for it on fourth down, they maybe lose to Kentucky. They took Georgia Tech to overtime after losing most of that game. They're also on the ropes against Florida before DJ Lagway got injured. So a lot of bumps and bruises. It hasn't been mistake-free football that Georgia's been playing. They're 46th in total offense, 98th in rushing, 35th in total defense. And this will be without Carson Beck for the remainder of the season as well. That leaves Gunnar Stockton under center. He's a sophomore. I'm going to try to find the longest Notre Dame ticket I can and run with it. Their defense ranks better in every major statistical category, plus Notre Dame's heavy rushing offense chews the clock. It could limit Georgia's possessions, especially if Stockton gets off to a slow start. I don't like fading Kirby Smart outright, but ATS, the Bulldogs have been dog water this season, so fire up the Notre Dame side for me. How do you feel about it, Boggs?
Yeah, this game has my favorite pick and my least favorite lean. My favorite pick of the tournament here, or of the second round, I should say, is taking the under in this game. I just don't think that either team is going to move the ball very well. And I think for Notre Dame, it's because they have not played a defense anywhere near Georgia, not even close this year. I think their schedule has been very weak. I don't know how it gets up to, I saw PFF, I think, had it at 28th. I don't understand that. I don't think they played a hard schedule at all. We thought maybe Army was good. They rolled Army. We saw Ohio State beat down Indiana. They did the same thing there. So they definitely are a strong team. They definitely deserve to be here. But Georgia's defense is as healthy as they've been all year. Williams is back. Smile Munden is back. They look strong. And I know the offense is why everyone is taking Notre Dame. Yes, that is why I'm on the under, is because on the Georgia side, now you have a run game that's been good, but it hasn't been great. It's been fine. I mean, it's above average, but everything at Georgia with that O-line should be above average. And you have a quarterback that we just have no idea what to expect from. He did not look good in the SEC title game. They did enough to not lose, but that was not a great debut for Gunnar Stockton. He had an ugly pick in there. He got almost murdered at the goal line trying to run the ball in. Yeah. He did not look good. He's had a lot of time to prep, so maybe I'm underestimating this, but Notre Dame's defense has been outstanding as well, and they made Indiana look like a JV team last week. So if Gunnar Stockton is having issues, I don't know how Georgia is going to score in this game. The wide receivers are not making plays like Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey did, right? They're dropping more balls than they're making gigantic plays. ETN is great, but this should be a pretty one-dimensional vanilla offense for Georgia, and Notre Dame is going to key in on that, even after losing a big piece like Riley Mills, as you mentioned, Seth. So in this one, I just like this game to be a field goal fest. And by the way, if Notre Dame is not punching it in, their kicker, Mitch Jeter, has been awful this year, 8 for 15. That is what he has been this year. He was better in the last game. He hit 2 in the snow or in the cold, whatever it was, last week, and I know the announcing team was going nuts for him. That's great, but there's more pressure in this game. So I don't know. I don't like points to be scored. I think this is going to be a position punt fest, back and forth, position, convert your third downs type of game. I'm not going to trust a guy in his first start in the playoff against Notre Dame in that and Gunnar Stockton. And I think that if they can't run the ball effectively like they normally can in Notre Dame, you're going to depend on Riley Leonard throwing the ball. He doesn't have a game over 250 passing yards this year. Yep. So I like the under. This is my favorite play of the weekend.
And then your lean is to Notre Dame, is that right?
My lean is to Notre Dame just because I don't know what Gunnar Stockton is going to give us at Georgia. So if you're giving me points, I'll take him with Notre Dame. Kind of like the Ohio State game, but I don't want to play a side in this game at all. Just give me the under.
Okay. What do you think, Terrell? Should we fire up the Irish car bombs at that time?
I mean, for me, it's very difficult here because I think that you kind of at odds. You're either backing a really good head coach in Kirby Smart versus Marcus Freeman, who I think Smart has the coaching edge. We've seen Marcus Freeman have blunders, 10 people on the field versus Ohio State. We've seen them in big games be able to blow it.
Kirby, at the very least, has the experience, for sure.
At the very least.
Yep.
Whereas there's a clear quarterback edge here between Riley Leonard and Gunnar Stockton. Like that's clearly Riley Leonard. If Riley Leonard comes in here and plays mistake-free football and is able to lead this offense, then yes, I would say Notre Dame is able to get this done. Is Riley Leonard going to be able... I mean, you talked about it. They're like 100... What did you say?
100th flat, yeah.
In passing offense,
yeah.
Like that's not good. That's not what we were expecting from.
No,
Riley
but Georgia's
Leonard.
also 92nd in rushing offense, so they both
Just
have.
take the
But
under,
now
man.
you have Stockton. But now you get Stockton, where you can give different looks. You had 2 weeks to prepare, change your offensive playbook around, and mold it around this quarterback. So we've seen backup quarterbacks be able to get it done in college football before. And you heard me all year. I don't think Carson Beck was really that good. So like. I think that it's a downgrade, but it's enough where Georgia can make this game competitive. And I'm just going to lean on Kirby Smart, just doing the little small things in the game over the course of time to be able to get it done with the experience factor. Maybe his luck runs out in the next round, but I think he gets past this round. I'm taking the Dogs.
Do you want the money line -118 at FanDuel, or you just laying the 1 point -112 at DraftKings?
I mean, I just go ahead and take a money line price and pay a little bit extra juice there. It's been so many times that I've laid, especially in basketball, man, that I've laid 1.5, 2, and it's come down to one bucket, and I'm like, oh, are you serious? I should have just took the money line. So, yeah, I probably just take a money line play.
Okay.
But it's close enough for that.
And speaking of basketball, before we continue, I did want to tell everyone about Fast Break Bets. If you like betting on that sport, well, join host Terrell Furman Jr. every single day on the Fast Break Bets podcast. It is your daily dose of basketball betting in 15 minutes or less. Tune in every day. You're going to get your rapid-fire fix of all things basketball, from the W to the association to college basketball and more. Catch the program right here on the BP YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, guys, time for some rapid-fire bowl picks, starting with the ReliaQuest Bowl. It's number 11 Alabama versus Michigan. Bama laying 13.5 points, the total 43.5 points. This is going off at Tampa Bay, Florida on Tuesday, December 31st at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Terrell, what do you think, Bama or Michigan? I know how you feel about this Michigan team.
I don't even know why we added this to the sheet. I don't know why I let y'all add this to the sheet. Sometimes Seth just asks and says, hey, are these games good? And I just be like, yeah, they're fine. I'll talk about whatever. But now that I realize this was the first game outside of the playoff, what are we doing here?
Come
All
on.
the bowl games.
All right. Alabama going away. We're not taking this Michigan team, guys. We're not doing it. No way. They beat Ryan Day. There's no way they're getting another win. That's it.
What do you think, Boggs?
Yeah, I just think that there's too many missing pieces for Michigan in this game. They're going to miss 3/4 of this defensive line, which is the best piece of this team. They're also missing their 3 most productive players on offense in both running backs, Mullings and Edwards.
Yeah.
And Colston Loveland is not playing in this game, and everyone says they're going to play for Bama pretty much. Milroe, Jod Campbell, Booker, Damani Jackson all say they're going to play. They're missing their cornerback. They're missing a couple guys on the 2 deep. They're pretty thin at wide receiver, but Ryan Williams is still there. So, oh no, I have to throw the ball more to Ryan Williams? That's not going to be good for anybody at Michigan. So, yeah, this is Bama and lay the points easy.
Okay, what about the Sun Bowl? Louisville versus Washington, Tuesday, December 31st. Also going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This goes off in El Paso, Texas. Louisville laying 2.5 points on the Huskies. What do you think, Boggs?
Yeah, I think in this one I'm going to take the Huskies. Shuck and Brooks are out, and they were the engine of this Louisville offense. Yep. They're missing their best defensive player in Gilat too. So Washington is going to go with the new quarterback, right? Demon Williams. We saw him. He was pretty good against UCLA already this season. He did take 10 sacks in that game, but that was against Oregon. So I think there are just too many opt-outs for Louisville, too many core pieces specifically on offense in this game. They were definitely the better of these teams during the regular season. I'm not, saying anything about that. Louisville was way better than Washington, but in this game, I just think Washington is way more complete. So give me the Huskies.
Okay. Terrell, how do you feel about it? Louisville awaiting their next quarterback in Miller Moss. He's going to be transferring over there from USC in the spring. Meantime, though, they're on their backup. How do you feel about him here against Washington?
ACC 0-10 ATS in bowl games. 0-10.
Really?
They didn't cover one. That Syracuse one really that was. We'll
it
give
depends where
we'll
you
give
got.
them
Yeah.
iffy.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I feel like they should have ran away with that one a little bit more. ACC horrible in bowl games this year. Big Ten 4-2 straight up. I'm rolling with Washington. I think they get it done. I think the defense is really just the thing here and keeps Louisville off their toes. But I can't back the ACC right now. It's been pretty bad, man. Pretty bad here.
Fair enough. You know our Big Ten and SEC bias on this program ain't going anywhere. So let's look at number 15 South Carolina versus number 20 Illinois. Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. This will also go off on Tuesday at 3 Eastern Time from Orlando, Florida. South Carolina laying 10 points on the Fighting Illini. It's a 49-point total as well. Where do you stand, Terrell?
Yeah. These are my guys. But I think that's a money line play on Illinois here.
What?
No.
Yeah, I think so. I think this defense is gonna be lights out here, and it seems like this is a spot where I just don't feel good about Beamer, man. I don't feel good. I think the time to prepare.
You love Beamer.
I do, but I've told you different spots where I'm like, hey man, this is where Beamer kind of, lets down here. He kind of lets down there, and it's one of those spots. And I think the Illini do have a really, really good defense. I just think this is way too many points. And so if I'm going to take this many points, I'm going to sprinkle on the money line as well. I think the defense keeps them in it, and this is a way closer game than South Carolina even thinks it's going to be, because I think this South Carolina team feels pretty confident with how that offense got rolling. But I could see them sputtering here. Give me Illinois in the 10, and I'm sprinkling on the money line.
Boggs, how do you feel about it here? South Carolina, they were one of the hottest teams coming into the end of the season, vying for a CFP spot. No Rocket Sanders, though, for them on the offensive side of the ball. Does that still hurt them, even though they have Lenora Sellers back there running and gunning all over the place?
It does hurt. Of course it hurts. And no Kennard either. Kyle Kennard, who was the best defensive lineman in the country this year. So two huge pieces missing for South Carolina. I understand that. But I think what Beamer does know is that the 2025 Heisman campaign starts in this game for South Carolina and Lenora Sellers. One of the better quarterbacks in the country is going to be near the top of those Heisman lists next year, specifically if he has a great game here. And they're going to rely on him like crazy in this game. And also, Kennard was the best defensive lineman in the country, but this was probably the best defensive line in the country. It's either this one or Texas, right? And they have the other three pieces coming back, including five-star freshman Dylan Stewart. So for me, I think Sellers is going to go crazy in this game. Illinois played well to begin. I think they faltered at the end, kind of showed us that they were a little bit of a pretender here and just had an above-average season. I think South Carolina lays the wood to them, so I'll lay the points to take South Carolina in that one.
Let's go to the Texas Bowl. The Baylor Bears will be favored by 3.5 points over the LSU Tigers. This one's going on at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time from Houston, also on Tuesday. Boggs, how do you feel about this? Because there are an absolute metric ton of opt-outs for LSU. But, I mean, it's still us and the boys, right? Like, I feel like we still have to be somewhat confident against a Baylor team that I didn't even know they were 8-4. Yeah, you could have told me they were 6-6. I would have had no idea.
Yeah, Baylor's been relying on their offense a ton this year. Their defense is miserable. PFF grade 112th, 123rd in pass grade, 116th in cover grade, and you're going to go up against a team that, yes, they're missing a lot of wide receivers, but you still have Nussmeier and you still have great replacements replacing these guys. If you're going to give me points in this, I'll lean LSU, but let's go with the over in this game. So many missing pieces for LSU on both sides of the ball, specifically on offense, though. But I still think they're going to be able to move the ball. It's not like Baylor puts great pressure on the quarterback either way, so I think LSU is going to score, and I think Baylor is going to be able to score as well. The total in this game is 59.5. I think we get way past this, so I'm going to go with the over in this one.
Okay, Terrell, how do you feel about it here? Any interest in that plus 145 money line on the Tigers?
No, not really. I actually think I'm going Baylor here.
Wow.
And and it's really just because the LSU offense, yes, they're good and they'll be able to move the football, but it's been too many times LSU has gotten on plus sided field and not been able to cash in for a touchdown, settled for field goals, turned the ball over, done X, Y, and Z, regardless of the fact it hasn't been a touchdown. And yeah, I do. I think Baylor's offense is going to be able to move the ball, and this gets into a shootout, and you're settling for field goals, and Baylor is able to go out there and score touchdowns for an LSU team that one doesn't want to be here. Like I can't tell you, I love fading this LSU Brian Kelly team later in the season when it just seems like they're giving up and they're not even trying anymore because they're not where they wanted to be, which is at the top of college football. Yeah, I'm going Baylor here. I think this is one. We talked about it last time. The SEC hit list and all these other teams trying to take shots at the SEC, and sometimes it's gone well. Other times it hasn't. Diego Pavia, you can't take a hit list on Diego Pavia. He handles everybody. But I like Baylor here. Let's go ahead and lay it with Baylor.
All right, let's move to the Thursday game. There's only one on the calendar, and it is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl from Jacksonville, Florida. This kicks off 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Ole Miss, they are laying 17 points on the Duke Blue Devils with a total of 51.5. Terrell, you fading Manny Diaz and the crew here in a game where a ton of opt-outs, both sides.
Oh, yes. I hate that I have to come back here on the SEC team, but the ACC one overall has been bad. But I mean, Lane, you have to go with. And first of all, we know Lane Kiffin as a coach that knows the spread. Let's just go ahead and we know Lane Kiffin as a coach that knows the spread. He knows this number is 17. He knows that he's been talking about the SEC and the playoff and should have gave his team and all these other teams chances and all of that. He has to go out here to absolutely completely destroy Manny Diaz and this Duke team. I mean, you have Jackson Dart playing. Yeah, some opt-outs here or there, but you have your quarterback playing. You still can run your offense, and this is the chance for you to sit here and say at the end of the game, yeah, that doesn't look like a playoff team. We didn't look like a playoff team over there. This is the game that Lane has circled, and he throws the kitchen sink, and they score up and down the field. I think Ole Miss team total over. Ole Miss laying 17. I'm fading Manny Diaz here in a big spot.
Boggs, how do you feel about this one? Because this feels a lot like that Syracuse game where we don't have a starting quarterback in Malik Murphy starting for Duke, but you do have Jackson Dart in Ole Miss, who should be motivated coming into this one.
Third string quarterback.
Okay, yeah. third string. So does that sway you at all? What are you doing here with this gigantic 17-point line?
I don't like the line, but I also respect the fact that we get pissed off Lane Kiffin here. He wants to, he wants to say something after this game about, his team getting snubbed again. He can't shut his mouth. So I think we're going to get that after the game. And I think to get to that, they have to win and win convincingly. So, Jackson Dart coming back to play in this game is enormous for Ole Miss also. So in this one, I'm going to lay the points. I'm going to take the Rebs. I just think that Duke they played good defense, but with Henry Bellin starting at quarterback, we've seen them give up points to high-powered offenses too. They gave up 51 to Miami. Yeah. So, yeah, I just think Ole Miss has too much for Duke in this game.
Okay, let's go to the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Shout out to all the first responders. We appreciate your service to this nation. North Texas versus Texas State. This is going to be on Friday, January 3rd at 4 Eastern Time in Dallas, Texas. Texas State laying 13.5 points on the North Boys, 60.5 point total as well. Boggs, where you laying them?
Yeah, yuck with this game, first of all. I mean, UNT has been bad on the defensive side of the ball for most of the season, but Texas State also gave up a bunch of points their last couple games. Georgia State and South Alabama, they looked real dicey. Still, I mean, UNT has the leading passer, receiver, running back in the portal. We did see that, the running back who's in the portal, Shane Porter, he's still on the bowl depth chart, so maybe he's going to play. That should be your strategy, is to run the ball, because Texas State had both of their defensive tackles opt out of this game, right? So your strategy should be to run the ball, but you're missing your main piece of offense, your two main pieces, in your quarterback and your wide receiver in a pass-heavy offense. So I don't like that for points on their side. Texas State, they're down their top running back, Ishmael Mack, who had 183 carries. McLeod is the engine to that offense, but I mean, that is a huge piece. I don't think anybody else had more than 80 carries outside of, Ishmael Mahdi. So I'm counting on the missing offensive pieces to drive this towards the under. The under in this game is right now 61.5.
Mm-hmm.
Both high-scoring offenses with questionable defenses, but both missing pieces as well. Give me the under here.
Terrell.
Yeah, I can't get there on the under because I think that Texas State is going to run it up, and I my fear of this North Texas team and this type of system is that when we get to the third, fourth quarter, and it's a lot similar to Syracuse and Washington State, where we see a backdoor, meaningless touchdown that probably doesn't mean a lot for a lot of people, but for some people it's very, very frustrating. So I will lay it with Texas State reluctantly, but I think the better play for me is just I think Texas State's going to be able to put up points. I love the quarterback. I love the offense. I think that they're going to be able to score. So they've done it all year round. Even if they get to a point where they say, hey, let's start giving some backups and some other guys some room looking towards next year, I still think the overall system is one where they figured it out. So I like Texas State to score. I'll take their team total over as best play.
Okay, my favorite bowl of the season, Duke's Mayo Bowl, Minnesota versus Virginia Tech. This will be on Friday at 7:30 Eastern Time from Charlotte, North Carolina. Minnesota currently laying 7.5 points on the Virginia Tech Hokies. Boggs, where are you going here? We also have a 42.5 point total to attack.
Yeah, I think we're looking more for what Terrell has to say in this game for Va Tech here, because they're probably going to be down to Pop Watson as their quarterback, who didn't look bad, by the way, when he came in. He looked okay. Bashil Tootin is still on the roster as far as I know. I'm not sure if he's going to play, but the top two pass catchers are down for Va Tech. Minnesota has defended the run well, and Minnesota is down some pieces on offense as well and defense. But Minnesota has been a steady rock this whole year. They are missing some pieces. This is not my favorite game. This would be low in my confidence poll or whatever, but I'll lay the points and take the Gophers in this one. I just don't think that Va Tech has been consistent enough for me to want to rely on them.
Big Ten. Terrell, you said what? ACC 0-10 right now in bowl games, something like that. I'm going with Minnesota. Do you have anything to say about Va Tech?
Yeah, I mean, if there was ever any team to knock off this slide, then it would be the Virginia Tech Hokies. And let me tell you this right here. So, first of all, I understand everything, maybe no Tootin, looks like it's going to be no Tootin, no Jones, all of that. And I do think that the backup has played well. But Coney, the backup that they have at running back, he is a man. And I think that he can still run the football. I think that they're still fine. Like, this is a really, really nice running back room. I think they're going to be fine being able to run the football. But this is just a fade on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So you don't lay points with Minnesota. You catch them as a dog, and that's when they come up and they have their big come-up-ins and their big games and all of that as a dog. It's not when you lay the points here with all of them. No. I mean, the Virginia Tech faithful are going to travel well to Charlotte, North Carolina for this game. I think Virginia Tech keeps this one within the number. Maybe they don't get the outright win. Maybe it's some last-second thing. They did lose to Rutgers, but they covered this line.
Yeah.
I think they do it again. So go ahead and get it done here for the Virginia Tech. Keep it under a touchdown.
Okay. We'll round it out with the Bahamas Bowl, Buffalo versus Liberty. This one will happen on Saturday, January 4th, 11 p.m. Eastern Time from Nassau, Bahamas. I've never been to the Bahamas. Nassau. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You should go. It's a nice place.
Oh, I would love to. Maybe
catch
a
it
live
on a cruise, on Carnival Cruise. That's
okay.
Yeah,
you ever see the show Black Sails?
No.
The setting is in Nassau. It's a big pirate place.
Okay. Well, how are we feeling about this one? We currently have Buffalo, who are 2.5 point favorites against Liberty. Of course, a lot of opt-outs on both sides, specifically, though, Liberty, they'll be without Caden Salter, their quarterback. Listen, I tried to back Liberty at some point earlier this season. I parlayed their money line like minus 2,000 against Kennesaw State, and they freaking lost. So I'm fading Liberty. My boy Trent went to Liberty. I don't like Liberty. Bunch of punks running around down there in Liberty. So give me Buffalo here. What do you think, Terrell? You're from down in that area. You probably know some Liberty friends.
Yeah, Liberty is like our BYU. I say it's like
Yeah,
just some
it's Jerry
guys that you
Falwell.
just
No
freaking
scary
hate.
movies on
They can't.
campus.
No scary movies. They're out there not participating in a lot of
Can I watch
acts
the
and
people
having
versus Larry
fun.
Flint? Is that okay?
And my track coach used to went to Liberty as well, so I have familiar with them. It's tough, man. It's tough. I think that I'm going to just go ahead and go Buffalo. The opt-outs, I think, are a little bit too much. This was a down year for Liberty, and I think that this is just the closeout of, hey, man, this season really freaking sucked. When the season started, we thought we had a chance at the college football playoff.
Yeah.
We thought with how they set everything up, we could run this division, and we could go play in a college football playoff game and see where things go from there. We have a great quarterback. We had a great running back, all of that. And now we're missing all of that. The season went horrible. Nobody's even talking about us, and now we're kind of limping our way to this bowl game. I just think Liberty has that quit in them this time, so I'm taking Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo. What do you think, Boggs?
Yeah, I'm going to, again, take the under in this game. I think, Caden Salter moving on to Colorado, and they're down 3 offensive linemen. They had, like, the number 2 run block grade in the country as well, Liberty did. And they're down the big pieces of this in Salter and their 3 offensive linemen. And Buffalo had a good enough year to make a bowl game, but they were miserable anytime on offense, specifically, anytime they had to face a bowl team, right? And if you just go through it, 16 points against Ohio, 383 yards. They did score 30 against Toledo, but Toledo had 2 fumbles that gave Buffalo short fields.
Oh, they were big dogs in that game too. Just one of huge dogs. Thank you for that money line play.
But they rushed, or they only had 357 yards in that game, and they ended up winning it and putting up 30 points. But by far their best offensive game against a bowl team, because other than that, 3 and 198 yards against UConn, 23 points and 184 yards against NIU, and 0 points and 169 yards against Mizzou. So they have not been good against decent defenses. Liberty plays decent defense and didn't have a ton of opt-outs, and they're down a bunch of offensive pieces. The total in this game, I believe, are you looking at it, Seth? Is it 50.5 still? 51?
Yep, 50.5, yeah.
Okay, 50.5. We're going under on that total in this game. I think this is going to be an ugly back-and-forth transfer fest. And even Buffalo's kicker also opted out of this game. So, maybe if they get in field goal range,
you have some nerve
with a field goal. Hey, I've mentioned the kickers twice in this show, the Notre Dame kicker and the Buffalo kicker. So I'm trying to stay on top of it here.
Let's go. Shout out to all the kickers out there. We appreciate you. Appreciate everyone watching as well. Been a fantastic episode. That's going to do it for us today on the BettingPros College Football Show. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the BettingPros YouTube channel and the podcast feed. Plus, download the BP app and sync your sportsbooks today. For Terrell Furman Jr. and Scott Bogman and everyone here at BettingPros, I'm Seth Woolcock. Have a happy new year. See y'all.
See ya.